Thanks for that wonderful intro. Good evening, all. It's great to be part of you and to talk to you about personal finance management at this point of time. I hope I am audible to all and you are able to hear me properly. Before I start with the topic, I want to take this opportunity to thank PMI for scheduling such a different topic, which is different from the regular project management subject. And we are all passing through a very challenging time. I'm sure all of you are taking care to keep yourself safe. This current crisis, if you look, if you take that, it's a medical crisis. And it has blown out and it has affected all walks of our life. It's affected personal life, it affected professional life, it affected our social life, and then it's affected the whole economy of the country as well as individuals. So now the world is after there to find a solution for this. As I told, it has affected our economic life. But whether there's corona or there is some other problem, we all of us have our own goals in our life. We plan for a happy retired life, the education of the children, marriage, and then paying school fees, medical expenses. So whether corona has affected, whether job is there, we can't be worried on that. We need to have goal. We have our goals and we need to live with that. So how can we achieve? That's what this session. So when we talk about financial planning and management, it can be summarized into two. How prepared are you for the most unplanned event of your life? Second thing is, how planned are you for achieving your dreams? These two are the most important summarizing thing. So in this session, what we are trying to cover, our objectives are how we can achieve financial freedom. What is financial freedom? It's a case like we work for 15 years, 20 years, and even after that, are we able to generate money for our living? Or we are still living as a dependent of someone? It can be child or we need to go for a work. This is called financial freedom. So the second thing is financial security. So we are covering today these two topics. As Jackson has told, after financial freedom, we will have a question and answer session, and then we will go to the financial security. In this scenario, let's look how the work life over a period of time has changed. If you look, you can see in this picture, the work life is reducing. I started working at the age of 23. The current generation who is just coming out, they are finishing graduation, they are going for post-graduation, and then they start. So it may be 25, 26 and all. The retirement time is always fixed, it is 60. But even in that, many people want to have an early retirement like me. So the work life is getting reduced. And another thing is our lifespan is increasing. Earlier it was 70, then it was or 65, then it has gone to 70, 72. Now it is almost like 80, and slowly it will go to 90. Because of the advance in medicine, advance in technology, we are getting a better lifespan. The challenge is we work for 25 years, then we need to, whatever money we saved, that needs to support us for the next 30 years or 35 years. Earlier it was different scenario. We work for 40 years, then the support has to come only for the next 20 years or 25 years. So this is what the big change is happening in this scenario. So for a moment, we will take how in general the Indians are living after their retirement, how they are, how free they are. 60 years, if you look, the majority, the 57% are still after 60 years after their retirement, they are still dependent. 31 people, they are no more. Only 5% of the people are independent. and 1% is wealthy. Let's leave that. So 57 people are dependent, 6% people are still have to work. Either they are working as watchmen, some shops and all this, even after that. And only 5% are independent. So we need to have a plan. How do we want to live after 60? You want to be a dependent or still working? You can work for, you have a passion, you can work for that. That's not the case I'm talking. So when we talk about financial planning, as you see, one of the biggest thing is retirement planning. So the first question comes, when should we start planning for retirement? So we'll come to that. So let's look into the financial planning, one component, that's the long-term planning. The long-term planning is something which comes after something around 10 years, 12 years and all. So retirement planning, higher education after secondary school, and then child marriage. So the question is to when we need to start retirement planning. Start the moment we get a job. That's the time we have to have a plan for the retirement. Next stage is whatever. Just have a look at the life stages what we have. It starts from 25 to 30, very young and single, happy life, happy-go-lucky guys, and then we start taking more responsibility, getting married, starting the family, so that responsibility starts. That responsibility continues 31 to 45. Young children, putting them to the school and all those expenses. Then comes little later, older children. That's where, actually, if you look, this period of 31 to 45 or 25 to 45 is the age or the band where we can have a lot of savings, lot of investments. Because once your children enter into the higher classes, like after or for the graduation, the saving potential reduces. And for marriage and all, we need to have, in our Indian typical style, we spend a lot of money for marriages. And then we enter into the retirement phase. So we enter into the retirement. So we need to have, I think Sergeant Paul need to use this. Yeah. We enter the retirement and then there is no income. We are from a paycheck to we are becoming a self-check. That means we have to have our own money to live. Recently, I came across, that's why the importance of retirement came to me. I have a friend of mine or somebody has come to me, like he's going to retire in another 2 to 3 years time. So he approached me that, George, I want to have a retirement plan. He is a government employee, so he will get a pension. The challenge was, he is around 55. 1 or 2 years before, he purchased an additional property, he got married, his daughter, and all these things are done. So the initial important responsibilities are finished. But the challenge is, he will be getting pension, which will be sufficient for him and his wife to live happily. But there is no money with them if at all an emergency comes. They will be getting a part of the money when they retire, but that won't be sufficient to support if an emergency comes. So many of us have met such cases that they are getting pension from the government or any other fixed income. But if an emergency comes like medical expenses or any other expenses, they immediately become dependent. They cannot live of their own. So this is the life stages when we talk. Then we go to let's look into how we can create wealth and what are the factors affecting our wealth creation. First is inflation. Second one is taxes. I will explain each of these points. Third one is duration of investment, how long you are able to remain invested. Fourth one is our lifestyle. This is the one factor we normally neglect, but that's the factor which plays a big role in creating wealth. Falling fixed income rates. So we have a guaranteed incomes, but the problem is the rates are going down. So that also affects our investment plans and wealth creation. Choice of investment. We are spoiled by a lot of options, but then each one has its own pros and cons. We need to be careful when we select the right investments. Then, as Jason pointed, it's our behavior, it's our discipline that really matters when it comes to wealth creation. We go to the next slide. That's the invisible evil to money, which we are not much aware. We don't take care in our daily life. That's called inflation. That's the price rise happening every year after year. We may not be very much aware. We will be reading in the paper it is 3.5, 4.2% inflation. But what is the effect is, if you have 100 rupees today and one available item for 100 rupees, and because of inflation, what will happen is, if the inflation rate is 5 rupees, the next year that item will cost 100 rupees, 105 rupees. So you need to have money that will beat, you need to have an investment that will beat the inflation so that you have 105 rupees next year, not 104 rupees. Even if you have 104 rupees, actually you are to spend 1 rupee from that year's earning. So inflation that we need to consider. Second thing is, take a look into how, this is a graph showing how inflation eats into our returns. The FT rates, as I pointed out, it's reducing. It's every year it's coming down. If you look, one time it was 5.8. The inflation always remained around. Sometimes it has gone even 12. That's older years. But if you look, it's always around 5%. So what is the net gain we are getting if you look? Even when the rate of return is 6.7 and inflation, if it is 5%, you will get only 1.7%. So when the rate of return, if it is going down, inflation will always be around 5. In the current scenario, it is more than 5.5. So what we are actually getting, the FD rates itself is SBI has come down to 5.6 and inflation is around 5.5. So we are getting very negligible amount. And again, this is added by the next point, that's the impact of tax. Most of us has got the favorite investment, that's FD. So when you have, that's where the impact of tax coming. So you can see this, inflation rate is going up, the fixed deposit rates are coming down. So what you are getting is negative return. That means you are a 30% slab person, you are putting for a 5.5% rate of return. Inflation itself is already eating into your money. And then whatever the interest rate, 5% you are coming, your 30% of that 5% will be taken away as the tax. So you are actually negative return you are getting. That means the next year, if you want to buy the same thing of 100, you have to put literally more than 5 rupees to buy that item. The next thing is, I told about the duration, how the duration will affect the investments. The longer the duration, higher the return. You can see in this chart, somebody who is putting 5,000 rupees for a period of 30 years every month. In this scenario, you can see he is totally investing only around 18 lakhs. But what is the value he is getting at the end of 30 years is near to 2 crore. It's near to 3 crore. So if you take the last chart, you can see he is putting 8 times of that 5,000. That's he is putting every month 40,000 rupees and he's putting for 15 years, same rate of interest. His cost itself has gone to 72 lakhs. Still, he is not getting this return of 2 crore 81 lakhs. He is getting only less than that. He is getting only 2 crore 46 lakhs. So the longer the duration, that's why I told retirement planning, the day you join for a job, you need to start your retirement plan. The longer the duration you stay, you make good amount of money with which you can achieve that financial freedom what we are talking. So let's look into this. I talked about all these. So what are the investment options generally we have? PPF, insurance, stocks, mutual funds, NPS, real estate, gold. In this PPF, insurance and all almost like fixed income products. They will give a guaranteed return. Stocks and equity mutual funds, highly varying. It will depends on the market conditions. NPS has got National Pension Scheme. It has got 3 options. Probably all of you are knowing that. Government securities, corporate bonds, and then an exposure to equity. So you can select. Another favorite is real estate. Real estate, it has got its own pros as well as this one. But the return, I will show you in this how it works. Then gold. We are always affected to, or we have an infatuation for gold, and we buy gold in physical form. So that's actually our not increasing our wealth, but it's actually affecting or reducing our wealth. This is what these are the options, and these are the effects. Let's look at how these asset classes have performed over a period of time. You can see the inflation is average around 6 to 7%. Fixed deposits is giving 7% return. That means above inflation 1%. Then we have gold. This is talking about physical gold or electronic gold. It is 2%. It is given 7% plus 2, 9%. Real estate has given 3% more than inflation. Stock market has always given 7% more than inflation. So it gives us an idea what are the options available to us and how the performance varies on this. Let's take a look into this again with the same thing, rate of return and duration. We have seen in the previous slide different rate of return, like stock has given 14%, the real estate has given, or the real estate has given 10%, and gold has given 9%. So if you convert into this, you want to accumulate 1 crore in a period of 15 years. So with this different products, you have fixed income product, that's FD, PPF, and then real estate, gold. If you consider the 14% and 12% can come from only a stock market, that's the option. So if you look into that, you can see how much you need to invest every month when you want to accumulate 1 crore in a 15 years period of time. You can see when you are doing for a 6% return, it is 34,000 rupees per month, 34,685 per month. At the same time, when you are investing in stock market or mutual fund, which is giving a 14% return, you need to invest only 17,000 or 18,000 rupees roughly. This is the effect of rate of return when we come to long-term plan. So as I told about stock market and mutual funds, many must have thought stock market is the most riskiest thing. So how can I say stock market is the best return? If you look in the current scenario, every day newspaper will carry yesterday 500 points down, 2000 points down. So let's look how we see it. If you are a person who is observing daily, it will be like this. It's a roller coaster. It's going up and down and up and down. But if you are checking it once in 5 years, you can say it's a straight upward curve. So that makes another important point. If you are long-term planning, you can go for stock performance, stock market, like equity mutual fund or stocks directly. But for short-term needs, never experiment with stocks. The next is, as I talked about stock markets, there are two options for all of you. Either stock, you may be confused, stocks or mutual fund. So what should I opt? Here is the flowchart for how can we decide what is the right one for you. If you have time, knowledge on this, both areas, you can pick stocks on your own. So you have time. If you say you have no time, no knowledge about the stock market, study about a stock, not about studying the stock market, studying a particular company, studying the progress, what's the right price, then if you have no time, then go for a mutual fund. Somebody else will manage your money in a better way, and so that he can get you that return in the longer term. The next thing is, as we go on, we will be listening different terms about terminologies related to stock market. So I'm just giving the type of mutual funds here. You can see in mutual funds, equity funds, different categories, arbitrage, large, mid, so many things. You will be familiar, most of you will be familiar. But there is another side called debt funds, which are called overnight liquid funds. These are like fixed income products like. They don't guarantee this one, but the return will be like equivalent to FD or NBFC retirements or returns like that. So mutual funds, generally we are familiar with this side, left side, that's equity funds, but this side is also there where we can utilize these funds for our short-term needs. I will explain on it. This is the normal formula we all are very familiar. Income minus expense, that's the savings. But is it the right formula? No, I have a different formula. Income minus savings should be only allocated for expense. So what it says, you should have a fixed percentage of your take home or CTC going towards your savings. Then the rest of the money only is available for you to meet your expenses. So it's again comes back to the next thing, that's the right formula. I say it's again shows it's related to our discipline, our behaviors. So if you want to create wealth, the ideal option is every month you should have a specific portion going for the savings part. The rest is available for your expenditure. Now, I talked about mutual funds a little bit. I see mutual fund in this perspective. You can see it here. It's very disciplined and ease of use. Choice of schemes based on individual's risk profile and duration. It has got a lot of advantages. Second thing is you have flexibility of amount and frequency. You can put monthly, quarterly, yearly. You can start with 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. All these options are available. Multiple investments and redemption choices. You can do it on a monthly basis. That's why most of the people must be familiar with the SIP, systematic investment plan. Then when you want to take money out also, you have the option. The same way how you put SIP, you have a plan for withdrawal, SWP. You can withdraw a particular amount every month. Then STP, you can do that, systematic transfer plan. You have lump sum amount. You want to invest in mutual funds. So you can plan it like every month again, not like SIP. STP is the money which you already accumulated, transferring into the mutual funds. SIP is you are earning, parallelly you are investing. And then you have the most option, lump sum investment. And why mutual funds? It's tax saving and tax efficiency is there. Low cost of management, liquidity. Anytime you can withdraw the money. I have shown you in my previous slide, equity side as well as debt side. This liquidity part is very much there in the debt side. In equity side also, the liquidity is high. There are some conditions when you start an investment that it is scheme specific. Then higher returns. Equity mutual funds will give a higher returns compared with any traditional investments. And professionally managed and highly regulated. SEBI is there, which is controlling every action, and every mutual fund is operating as per the SEBI guidelines. Here I want to show you a video about how our discipline or how you can affect our wealth creation. It says we need to be resilient with the investments. You can see this. We can all reflect in our regular, this video will help you to reflect in our daily work life.
Hey Charu, I overheard HR. You're getting a promotion this year. Wow. Congrats.
I hope you are able to see the video.
अरे सर, see you in 2 weeks. Duty free से कुछ लाना है क्या?
मेल नहीं पड़ा. All leaves are cancelled, okay?
Sir, but sir, non-refundable है.
Nice. I like it.
Yes, sir.
Good job on the presentation.
Thank you, sir. See you Monday.
No. We are working this weekend.
But, sir, again?
Come on. Just got on the board meeting. इस साल no bonus. But sir, I...
जिंदगी में ऊपर नीचे तो होता रहता है, फिर भी आप हार नहीं मानते. उसी तरह अपने एसआईपी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स के उतार चढ़ाव से डरिए मत, डटे रहिए.
Sir, which model you're getting?
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
So we can find a lot of similarity in this video with our regular work life. We expect so many things, but it happened. But we continue to work. So be resilient with same way when it comes to investments also. That's why this slide say investment is a boring. You look, it takes long time to create wealth. And if somebody you say, I got 20% return from mutual fund, people will wonder and say it's a free money. You have a reply for that. You have waited for 20 years, 25 years. In 5 years, there was negative returns. And 10 years or 5, 6 or 7 years, no returns. Still, I patiently waited. And then I got this return. That's wealth creation is a long journey. So here, we are coming to the end of the first part. People do not, with this quote, I want to end. People do not decide their future. They decide your habits. And their habits decide their future. So it's our habits. We have discipline, like how we achieve success in our life or when we study for something. Same way, continue to do so, and then you will achieve a success. So before we go to the next, we will take 5 minutes, and I will try to answer the questions.
Yeah, so we will take a break now, and we can post our questions on the chat window, and George will answer. Please post your questions. So the first question is, what is the reason why physical gold is reducing wealth?
Physical gold, when you buy physical gold, most of us, we buy as ornaments. So we pay for a making charge, loss, and all those things. And then when we want to have cash, we go for selling of it. As an investment, it is not for wearing. It's an investment part. So when we go for selling, we lost all the tax we paid. We lost that making charges and loss, and all those things we lost. So that's what you must have paid some amount for all those things. So when we sell, we are getting a lesser money. That's why I told it's reducing your money. And again, if you are buying in coin also, I have had an experience where a father purchased for his daughter's marriage 100 gold coins. Interesting thing is, she told after marriage, she told, I don't want these coins, give me in cash. So he went back to the jewelry. For each coin, they reduced 10 rupees. So there also, he lost. That's what I am telling. When we buy gold in physical form, whether it is gold bars or coins, this is going to be the same. If you're buying ornaments, your loss is there. Yes, ETF or mutual fund, that's the best option when you want to go for gold. You can sell anytime, and it is at the rate of 24 karat gold. You sell it, you get as on today's money rate. And even if at a later date you want to buy ornaments for your daughter's marriage or anything, you will get a better value for them.
So there is one question. There is one question like, how do we do a redemption of gold ETF if we get a physical gold when we do redemption?
Correct. ETF we are buying directly from the stock exchange using a demat account. Anytime you want to buy, you can sell it back. Like how you sell when you want to buy ETF gold, you need to have a demat account. Through demat account, you buy and you sell it.
But you are not going to get a physical gold when you sell it.
No. We don't get. If you have physical gold, we don't get directly. You only get the cash. It's only an investment. You buy using your cash, you sell, and you get your cash. No physical.
Okay, fine. So next question we have is, want to know your perspective on investing in commercial real estate and renting it out.
Right. Commercial real estate, it's like that the investment cost, the initial investment cost is too big. It is not 10 lakhs or it is not even 10 or 20 lakhs. It's much higher. So the return, when we calculate on that, the return is around 6% or something. And that too, you cannot, when it comes to return on 6%, which is equivalent, and again, tax will be applicable. For every rent we are collecting, income tax is applicable. And when a commercial property you are giving on rent, you are liable to pay GST also. So your net return is much less compared with the investment what you have made.
Okay, so let's move on. So next question is, mutual funds are now taxable, and it is a problem to calculate taxes at our end to reflect at the income tax return. So how do you handle this? Because for common people, now since mutual funds are also taxable, when they file their returns, they are confused how to file it.
Yeah, mutual fund is income, the return on your investment is taxable, and that too up to 1 lakh, there is no tax. Only the amount which is more than 1 lakh is taxable. Now, every mutual fund, when you invest, you can check through the AMC's mutual web portal, you will be able to download the statement of capital gains statement. So, from that capital gain statement, you can show your additional income. If it is less than in a year, your capital gain is less than 1 lakh, it is not taxable. Whatever is coming more than 1 lakh, you need to record and then pay the income tax.
So what you
again, it is more efficient. Income tax is more efficient. The capital gain income tax from stocks or mutual fund is only 10%. It is not as per your tax slab. That's one major difference. So even if you have 10 lakhs income, so you will be paying only 1 lakh. It's not different from other end. That's what it is more tax efficient.
Thanks. Okay. The next question we have is, during these days where the returns from mutual funds are below 10, and as most of us are in the middle of our work life, which will be a better option to go ahead, whether it is equity fund or a debt fund? The question is whether at this age, maybe in the early 40s and all, should we choose an equity fund or a debt fund?
That's depend on how long you want to remain. You can say you're around 40, 45, you still have 15 years time, you can remain with equity funds. If it is less than 5 years, it's better to go with the debt. 5, 7 years, better to go with debt.
Next question we have is, which investment is less risky? Investing in a mutual fund or in an index fund like Nifty or Sensex?
Index fund, it is all the same. The risk when it comes to
fund, on index stocks. So whether it is less risky to invest in a mutual fund or in index stocks.
Okay, I understood. See, index funds, we have Nifty, we have index 50 stocks. So it depends on your time and knowledge. Out of this 50, do you have time to study how many stocks? It is again not the Nifty 50 is not the top 50. There is a list of 65 stocks and they allocate 50 stocks out of this, their own criteria to give a representation to the that sector and all, that's all. So if you look Nifty 50, you can select, if you have time, that's what I told about the flowchart. If you have time to sit and study and knowledge, understand the company, stocks will surely give a better return. But you can remove that burden and depend on a mutual fund that will make your life a little more easier.
Okay, so next question we have is how to choose the right company to buy mutual funds, like how to choose the right mutual fund.
There are a lot of criteria like standard deviation, other Sharpe ratios and all those things. And more than that, then you need to study again what is the portfolio, how it is. So it comes all the time, how much time you can invest. So generally, you can depend on, take the guidance of a advisor who will be guiding you to select the right. You need to tell him what is your intention. What is the purpose of your investments? Like you have a time frame of 15 years, then he can select a different scheme than if you are saying I have a time frame of 7 years or 5 years. But otherwise, there are a lot of ratios like standard ratio, Sharpe ratio, beta, alpha, and all those things. You can compare all these things and decide on that.
Next question is Nippon Tax Savings Equity Fund can continue this year? NAV can their NAV come from 65 to 35? It's a very specific question.
In this one, I would not go for a specific scheme or answering anything related to that.
Okay, fine. Let's move on.
I think we have crossed around 8-9 minutes. So we can continue with the next part and then we can come back to the question.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Keep ready your questions. I am ready to answer as long as the
We'll answer more questions at the end. Yes.
yeah. So then we are going to the next component of financial planning. That's, we have already seen long-term planning, which comes with retirement planning, child education, child marriage. Then the most thing is, I talked about financial security. We are entering into that. That comes with the first time protection. It has all these very familiar words with you: life insurance, health insurance, critical illness, accident insurance, motor insurance, your home insurance. This all together comes in the protection side. So let's take a look into what is this. There's income protection. There we should have emergency needs, short-term needs. All these things put together, we talk about financial security. Let's take another video. That's the real, it shows the real life. How an earning member leaves the family, what's going to happen in their life. So I'm going to introduce a concept, financial pyramid. It starts with protection. That's the basic. Anything happens to you, your family is secure. They are able to live. Second thing is emergency funds. This is the way we should have allocation when we get our monthly salaries. There should be short-term goals. We should be able to take out the money in quick notice and take out and spend it for that. Long and medium-term goals. We can have larger allocations which will create huge wealth. We can use some money for speculative assets. Maybe if we come to know of some particular stock or some property is going to appreciate, you can buy. These are all speculative assets. You cannot put a lot of money and wait for it. This is the new, this one. When you plan your finance, you should have a solid protection. And then it starts from that. That's why this financial pyramid, I call it. The next thing is, when we look at protection, everyone wants to be happy. This is one, life insurance. Next is health insurance. Next is critical illness. The next one is personal accident. I have covered this one for a family, how? So that even if one person, when he leaves, it brings two kinds of losses. One is the companionship loss. That over a period, time will heal it. But then there is another loss, that's the economic loss. Unless you take care of it when you are alive, nobody can cover it. So let's look into the life insurance part. You must be very familiar with the word life insurance, and you must have heard about a lot of schemes. Probably, I will read out. Pure insurance, that is term insurance. It's a pure insurance just like your car insurance, where if there is any damage, your car insurance will work. Same way, if any eventuality happens to a person, he will be benefited with money, term insurance. Then the second one is insurance with investments. That will be, most of us are familiar. Endowment plans, payment on which actually payment on maturity, or sometimes it is money back, or it is a whole life, which covers even up to 100 years. And a day, if you are crossing 100 years, you will get back the money. Otherwise, anytime eventuality happens, the money comes to you normally. Next one is ULIP. It is something similar to mutual funds, unit linked insurance plan. And then personal accident insurance. I've clubbed all this in one lot because this insurance are income guaranteed. It's guaranteed that if you have taken any insurance in this, that money is guaranteed to your nominee. Even if you have taken a personal accident insurance, whoever is using two-wheelers, I always recommend take a personal accident insurance. For a 30 lakh something, you need to pay only 5,000 rupees per year. But it brings a lot of relief to your family if any eventuality happens. The next one is, I'm going to show why I recommend term insurance for all the people who are started earning, who are all the breadwinners of the family. Everyone should have a term insurance. It gives a lump sum amount any eventuality happens, so that it ensures the financial security of family. And accidental death, lump sum happens. Any critical illness is there, you can take a rider and they will pay the lump sum amount. Accident, disability or illness, C of loans and liability. Whoever has got any loan, 10, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, people must be living with personal loans of 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Anything happens to you also, your family members are liable to pay back. So go for a term insurance. That's the most secure way. The next one is health insurance. Regular health insurance, super top-up, and cancer insurance. And then we have critical illness. This difference is, this is expense compensator. It is not directly benefiting. Whatever expense you are incurring, they will compensate up to a limit. You have a regular health insurance, most of the companies give you 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs health coverage. So the question comes many times, is it sufficient? Is there any other option to increase? So many people end up buying another health insurance with 10 lakhs coverage. So that's where the importance of top-up insurance comes. That means we start after your basic coverage. Your company is giving 5 lakhs. The top-up will start after the 5 lakhs coverage. It's only, these insurance are expense compensated. They won't give you the full money. Even if you have covered 5 lakhs, consumables, other expenses, they won't pay you back. That will always be deducted. So it's only in expense compensator. So that's where we are covering the protection, 2 slides, but most important, everyone should have your own protection plans to take care in any eventuality. Then we go to the next part. That's, we have seen long-term plans, retirement, all those things. We have seen protection, which covers all kinds of insurance. Third one is savings. That living expense, emergency fund, short-term goals like school fees and all. So we will take a look into this. What are the options where we can put money for emergency and short-term needs? We may be earning salaries which comes to our SB account. Then we need to have in all our SB account, at least for, this is a learning which I got in this COVID time. Earlier, we used to advise people, we keep sufficient money for 3 months in your emergency fund and 3 months in your SB account, which is anytime you can go and access it. So, but nowadays we are changing it. This pandemic has brought new learnings for me also. We are advising in emergency, you need to keep at least 12 months. So where can we park the money? SB accounts. Then we have this fixed deposit, term deposit, which I don't recommend for any working, because as I shown in the first slide, if you are putting a fixed deposit, it's only adding your tax liability. Actually, you are not getting any return. Then we have the option debt funds, which you've seen there: overnight funds, liquid funds, money market funds, ultra short-term funds, equity arbitrage funds. So your 3 months living expense, you need to keep in your savings SB account. Any emergency that I told about 9 months or 10 months, you can opt for any of the debt funds, which will give a return equivalent to a fixed deposit, but very tax efficient and highly liquid. then we have the options. You may ask why debt funds I am recommending, because I use the word tax efficiency. You can see in this slide, 10 lakhs put in FD and 10 lakhs put it in liquid fund. And the rate of return I have assumed considerably less, substantially less, 7% and 5.5%. You can see the interest earned in every year and the tax liability per year. That's where the matters. You're a 30% tax slab, you will be paying every year out of the 21,000 towards the tax. So net gain per year is only 49,000. Now you are keeping this money for the next 3 years, the situation changes. That's what the rest of the chart shows. By end of 3 years, you are already paid 63,000 tax. When it comes to liquid fund, it is considered an investment. So you are eligible to get indexation benefit. Indexation benefit means adjusting the inflation to the cost of investment. You can see this. So your cost of investment at the end of 3 years, 10 lakhs as in a liquid fund will be calculated as 11,65,000. So after that means the indexation benefit you are getting for 1,50,000 rupees. The net capital gain is calculated, it is only 15,000. And once indexation is applied, irrespective of your income slab or the tax slab, you are paying only 20% as the income tax. So you can see the tax paid is only 3,000 rupees. So after a period of 3 years, your net gain, if you look in FD, they promised you 7%, but you are getting 4.9. But in liquid fund, you are getting 5.5 and you are getting as much as that. If as the time or the duration increases, you get better advantage with the indexation. Like every year, indexation chart is published by the government. So you get the benefit and you can, that's what I told the word tax efficiency, and you can create literally money, which is a lot of tax you are paying to the government. And there is an option for you to save. Then another question is asked. Many times we ask, how do we select an advisor, or how can we find who is giving a right kind of advice? So this thing is, never ask anyone for their opinion, forecast or recommendation. Just ask them what they have or don't have in their portfolio. Here only I want to show how we can do a goal-based planning. This is how we can do goal-based planning. This is for me. When I did this calculation, and this is the basis how I do my savings, my investments. You can see we can do, this is very scientific. It's not a gambling. You can put your age, what age you want to retire, what is your current expenses, and what is the income replacement ratio. Some expenses will come down after you retire. So, and all these put together, then you can calculate what will be your future after 10 years when you actually retire, the current price, what will be at that time. So this is how we can calculate how you can arrive at what is the monthly amount you need to save. And this is what I do. I just want to show it. I'm doing in the mutual funds, and this is the way I do. I do SIP and I do all those things, whatever this thing. So with that, we are coming to the end of the next part. So I have shown some of my personal examples, and use your own discretion. This is my disclaimer, which I have put to show the people that there is actually a scientific way of doing things. Like you can plan for any goals, retirement, you can plan for your child education, you can plan for any of your activity, and then you can save money accordingly, and you wait till that time you will be able to achieve that. So now we are open again for the question and answer session, and this is my details. Anytime you can contact me, and I'll be happy to clarify or help you in any matter. So Jay Krishnan, we can go back to the question and answer session now.
Yeah, thank you, George, for this session. I will move on to the questions from where we left it. First question is ETF taxable?
Yes, ETF is also taxable. The income, any capital gain is taxable. But here, when it comes to gold, it is different from stock. You need to remain invested for 3 years to get the indexation benefit. In gold, it is indexation. It is not like stock. So you need to remain invested for 3 years, and after that you sell, the indexation benefit you will get, and you will be paying tax accordingly on.
Okay. Moving very quickly through, because we have a lot of questions and moving quickly. Any thoughts on investing in instruments of new economy like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, etc.?
It is when we talk about Indian market, still the government has not approved. So I'm not sure about. So there is no study has gone into that, and we cannot say that it is. People have made money 2 years before, very known to me. But as there is a lot of risk in that. So at the moment I don't know about.
Okay. Moving quickly, a good question. Like, why should I approach an advisor for mutual funds when I can directly invest in mutual funds?
Very good, interesting question. Most of you listening to me, either they have family or they have studied in the school. Now your children are studying in school. So are you sending your child to a tuition center or to a teacher? This is the answer to that. So if you may be an engineer, you may be a very good, do you have time to educate your child? Or you would prefer to go to send him to a teacher who can take care of your ward personally, looking at where is his weaker points and where is his stronger points. So the same thing happens. You can do it in a direct mode. There's no problem. But then it's like a tuition teacher and directly learning from the school. That's all.
Sure, got it. Yeah. Let's move on. For retirement planning, investing in stocks and mutual funds is it a wise decision? Or we should go for a whole life insurance plan like LIC, Jeevan, Umang. Basically, he's asking from a retirement planning perspective, whether it is good to invest in stocks and mutual funds, or should we go for a whole life insurance plan like LIC, Jeevan?
If your retirement, you have still working life of around 50, 12, more than 10 years, you can allocate part of it you are investing to stocks and mutual funds. But I would not recommend you for any schemes like you put a lump sum amount today, after 10 years, you will get 11%. It is not actually, it's only absolute calculations. So better you can have different options. You can, I would recommend go for mutual funds. Maybe part of it you can go for some money back insurance schemes where that money will come tax free. Otherwise, if you put a annuity plan of any insurance scheme, that monthly pension, what is coming is taxable. So it's better to go as we retire, it's better to have more tax efficient products. So that's what my suggestion.
Okay. Next question quickly is, debt fund has a problem when company collapses like DLF. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's true. But I always say that you need to align your investment horizon with the some parameters called duration and all those things. Debt fund, all category are not that risky. Like the liquid funds which I talk, or money market funds. Liquid funds have all the bonds in that mature in 90 days time. So in 90 days time, and most of the securities what they hold is treasury bills, RBI bonds, and very good companies bonds. In 90 days time, the risk of collapsing is there, it can be there, but the chances are very less. If you're the same way, money market, which also takes only around 1 year maturity. So those companies, like, you need to select a mutual fund, and that's where the advisor can add value based on his experience. He can bring value to your investment. So debt, anything is the risk. There is an element of risk in all kinds of investments. So debt fund, you need to have a duration. You need to align your investment period with the duration of the fund. So if you are able to catch those things, terminology, and study it, then debt funds can be safe. Even gilt funds, which is very risky considered, in the current time, it is giving even up to 11%, 11 or 12%. It's a government bond fund. But at times, gilt funds will cause you to lose money and it won't come back also. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a question from Vikram Kadam. He's saying, how is max gain accounts for the loan? So I did not understand the question.
Which one? Which one?
How is max gain accounts for the loan?
That's a home loan product of SBI, I think, if I am right.
Do you have any opinion on that? No.
I am not into that of this
Fine.
thing
Moving
because
on.
I know that SBI gives some discount or interest discount and all. I have not studied much in detail. Only 2 or 3 banks are giving. Bank of Baroda and SBI is giving that facility. You keep some amount against your loan account. They give you some discount on the interest or something.
Next question is on overseas investments. Best category in overseas investments, in your opinion?
Overseas investments, we have the mutual funds in who are specifically region-wise investing as well as across the globe investments. So there are mutual funds available who wants to take investment into the global funds. All the mutual funds companies have got global investment schemes in their portfolio.
Okay, moving on. So what is the best opinion if I want to invest a lump sum for a short time?
You need to go for a liquid fund or a money market fund. That's the only option because short term can be like less than 3 years.
Okay. Next question is how long a mutual fund should be carried on normally?
This is like a question like how long can you maintain your SB account in a bank? You can put money in SB account and remain there even if you take it or not take it. Nowadays, there is a lot of requirements that at least once in 6 months you need to activate. But in a mutual fund schemes, there is no like you can put 10,000 rupees and remain it there for there and your next generation can access it. No problem. It is not, it depends on your use. You can keep it permanently or.
His question is how long should I invest in a mutual funds or an SIP to gain from it?
It depends on your goal. If you are making a retirement plan, you can invest up to that monthly investment up to your 68.
Depend on your goal. It should depend on the goal, the period of time. It's like you should have your goal. That is the period of time by which you want to mature your mutual fund. So that should be the criteria.
Correct.
Okay, fine. So next question is: can we say 20% savings plan, 50% mutual funds, and 30% stocks is a good distribution for savings?
It's all up to individual's risk and how long you want to risk, how long you want to remain invested. Okay, that last one is 30% stock. You should be very analytical. You should be clear which are the stocks you are investing, what is your selection criteria, and all these things. 50. This form, any formula is good for all. Depends on your individual's choice.
Okay, this is the last 2 questions because we are almost overshooting the time. Is NPS a good savings option?
NPS I recommend mainly reason is that even in the ATC there is an additional 50,000 benefits. Second one is it has got multiple right now it has got 4 combinations of investments like government bonds, private bonds, and securities, as well as real estate. Some investments is coming, so you can put part of that amount your retirement into NPS. But you need to remember, you can invest up to 60 or maximum 65. But after 65, that whatever coming as monthly pension is taxable. So NPS is a good choice. You can allocate part of your, you can get an exposure to mutual funds or stocks, and then government, some hedging will happen because of the government as well as corporate. It's a good it's good for planning retirement. And the main attraction at that point of investment is you get an additional tax.
Okay, right. Last question: is day trading more taxable comparing to the long term?
I don't recommend or I don't say anything about stock and especially day trading. It's in so how they select and they make money. 2 days before I met someone who was selling. I initially started doing day trading. For 2-3 months I made money and then I lost money. Then I stopped. So I don't have any specific answer to this.
Thanks a lot, George. Actually, George is available during most of our PMI Kerala meetings and gatherings. So definitely you can meet George in person and have all these discussions and doubts cleared. If you have any further doubts, he is very much available during all our PMI Kerala meetings. Okay. Thanks a lot, George. I will I will request Akhila Gauri Shankar, VP Finance, PMI Kerala, for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Jai Krishnan. And George, that was a great session, really, highlighting us on the most important aspect for everyone's life, for sure. Financial security is really required for everyone, and you gave us a good insight on that, for sure. And these question answer sessions, you were very good in giving us more clarity, and believe everyone got some takeaway from this for their financial savings planning for their life. Thank you so much, George. And you're always there with us. That is a great strength for us too. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhila, and thank you all the PMI team for this wonderful session. Thank you very much. Good night.